Hey there, gamers. Welcome back to Bandit Souls Cryptic Gaming here. So, Skull and Bones been getting the question a lot more here lately. Is it any good? Do I recommend that you check this game out for yourself? Absolutely, I do recommend that. So, we'll go over a few things. We'll go over some of the basics, and some of these things even the advanced players may or may not know. So, definitely stay tuned. So, when you first come into the game, you're going to be starting off at a shipwreck. Now, we no longer have access to that area, but you're looking for an area called Saint Anne. This is St. Anne. This is the next port you will get to as soon as you finish that wreck. And you're going to have a mission that's going to send you to speak to Skurlock. He is one of the pirate lords in the area. One of two right now, if you don't count the seasonal pirate lords that move in. But you'll come up these stairs and you will access his office from up here. You're going to pick up some missions. But St. Anne will give you a basic idea. You're going to learn some of the basic layout of it. So when you come to dock, you're going to be coming down this walkway here. You will probably not have the Blackwood character standing at the end until you reach Kingpin rank. Would be my guess. But I don't really know what it's got because they don't let us start a new character. So if you don't see this guy here, you're not missing anything. One of the things that I highly recommend when you are starting off in this game, you're going to start off with a dhow. What you're going to do with that is you want to come up in this region here. When you leave port here, just come straight up here. You're going to find all the materials you need to get into a badar or a better, whatever you want to pronounce that, guys. But that's what you're going to do. Get these materials here. There are some acacia planks. You're going to be getting acacia wood, so you got to harvest all that. And of course, there's some bog iron and stuff like that that you can pick up. But that's going to be your main port of call here. You're going to be coming up along this side. You have to stick pretty close. But typically a trip coming around here, coming back up through this pass and back around, you're going to have all you need to build your next ship. Now, they now have in this game where you can level up your ships. You may be wondering, is it better to level my ship up, or is it better to save all the materials and stuff for later? Well, some of those ships that you get, you're going to run into a situation when you go to the shipwright. You're going to need something called an upgrade part, and I don't know if that's something that's included in the early stage of the game. We did have a member come in that was starting to do some of their ships. So let's look here. When you go to a new ship, you're going to have a better or a badar. You're going to have the Hulk class. This is what you would basically your entry level to a Snow, which is a larger class ship than that. Then of course your center cutter class here, the support ship, does some pretty good stuff. It's not my favorite ship. What I enjoyed using was this Firebrand barge. It was pretty decent, but the sloop, in my opinion, is the best small ship you're going to find in there with all of the different types of DPS and perks and things that you get with it. And as you level that thing up, we've recently leveled that up to level 6, and it'll rival a sandbuckle in damage output. It's just amazing using fire bombards on that ship. So then, of course, we have our bombarder class. This is the Padawakon. This is basically a very large version of this sloop. Of course, it's a 2-cell configuration, 2 masts on it, just 2 large cells. You're going to get some really good detonation explosive hits, 70% chance of triggering explosions, and that's at the base level. That, as you rank that ship up, is going to go up as well. Then, of course, our Vanguard Snow, we just recently got one of these up to level 6. We will show you what that ship looks like. It is, in my opinion, the best looking pirate ship in the game still. Then, of course, the Brigantine, that one's not a bad looking ship. It has a nice ram perk. Very fast, probably fastest in game right now, but you will chew through your stamina. You're going to have to be eating food like crazy to keep your crew stamina up on that ship, but it does a great job as a runner. Then, of course, you have your Pyromaniac Sandbuck. This is probably the ship I use the most when doing battle. Now, if I'm out hauling around, I typically use this Bark. This is a support class that has heals, status heals, so it heals yourself, heals your friends around you as well. And of course, this new Brig Artificer that they have out here, this is a support ship. Pretty similar to what you have with the Brigantine, except it has no ram ability. It added a port on it for your auxiliary weapons, which is some sort of spring loader stuff is what it really shines at. So pretty good stuff on there. But as you come into the island, man, you're going to get to know all these areas. You come down that plank walk, you come across this bridge. You have your carpenter here. He's going to be something that you use quite a bit even later in the games. You're going to have to upgrade your captain tools, which you'll have to see him do. You would come in here. When you go to craft new items, it starts you off at captain tools, upgrading tools. Now your first initial response to this is to save up everything, go to the very top, and then build it. Unfortunately, you can't do that. You have to build each and every single class in order as you come down through here. If you just try to jump to the very end, you're not going to get the you're not going to be able to upgrade that. You have to do it one at a time, I guess is the purpose of that. But that's where you're going to get those different furnitures to add abilities and perks to your ship as you build. So blacksmith, of course, you're going to be getting your cannons and all that kind of stuff. You're going to get familiar with this refinery station here very quickly. That's the ship right across from the blacksmith. Sorry if I missed that, showing that to you. But this refinery area, this is where you're going to come in. You're going to have to refine your raw materials, whether it is your wood, your, see, we got our magnetite ingot. Sweet. It's all refined. So you have your different types of wood. This is the refined product. You have to have the raw materials, which would just be wood, then it makes the planks. You have to have the raw ore of these different types of ore to make those ingots. You'll need the raw materials for the Rossley cloth, stuff like that, to be able to build those as well. Same with fine linen, fine hemp, fine ramie, fine abaca. You're going to need all those different things. So you're going to be getting things like plate glass. We'll show you how to do that. We got make one of them. It's going to run through its little thing. It doesn't take long, a few seconds. Obviously, the more that you are refining, it's going to take even more. So, and that's how you refine those materials, guys. Very simple stuff. Anywhere in the aisles, if you are wondering, how do I build this ship, and you're trying to figure out how you find a certain material, you're going to go to this map area, and you're going to come over here to your codex. Okay, so when you get to your codex, you're going to be able to find your ships, certain types of ship you want to build. You're going to be able to track the materials for that ship. You'll be able to track the blueprint for that ship there as well. If it comes to weapons, you'll be able to track the blueprints or the materials to build those weapons. Same for your armors and your furnitures. Then it shows materials, raw materials, refined materials. You'll be refining them. Typically, you're going to be getting those raw materials off of, whether it's veins within the rock you pull up next to it and hit it, or if it's a ship that you end up getting some raw materials or potentially refined materials. We have a manufactured defense come up, which is great. I was kind of hoping we'd get one of those. I have been seeing those more often, which has been really nice. The reason I like running these is it gives you a gold raiders box, which you could potentially get some really good gear out of. So let us see exactly where our defense is at. Looks like it's going to be right here at Bandari. So there's a fast travel point here. We're going to fast travel over to that. Now this is a level 6 sandbuck that I'm going to be using, and we'll bring the snow out as well later to show you the different ship classes and their uses. You may be looking for videos like, what is the best ship in the game? Well, there's really not a best ship in the game. Now, there are best ships fitted for certain situations based on your play style. So I'm going to show you an up close and personal play style that I actually use quite a bit, because it freaks people out. They don't like to be crowded when they're on seas, especially in storms. And this boat here is just fantastic, the sandbuck, for dealing out massive DPS damage to them. Now, when they run from you, you're not going to be able to catch them. It is a slower ship. I think we could get, using water barrels or water flasks, we could get about 14, 15, maybe 16 knots if the winds are in perfect conditions. So yeah, so we're getting about 16 knots here. So we could probably bump that maybe 17 or 18 with the right wind shift. But typically you're spending your time running 8 knots, which, can suck after a while. So it looks like one of our Discord members has joined in. Probably come over here to get him some shoot downs too. Okay, so you got to come into the map once you're in zone. You want to come back up here and hit join event once you're in that zone. and that is going to cue the defense. Factory defenses is something you're going to have to get used to in this game, both on a single player mode, as teams, or your future guilds in the, as they come around. So this area is not a hard one to defend. Typically, most of your boats are going to come from this direction and even behind. However, I have noticed at times where they will come up through these tributaries. That would be our campaigning enemy right there. So this is what you call an auxiliary weapon. You can use mortars that have rockets and stuff. These small rockets I never cared for, but these medium-sized rockets, I'm loving them. They do a fantastic job. So with the sandbuck, I am using a Buccaneer armor, which is the more ships I sink, the more damage this ship does. Of course, we got a sharpshooter next to us. They will destroy your ship very quick if you are not careful. And as the seasons progress, if you start getting into the seasonal play, once you've completed the missions, you're going to notice that these ships will tend to get stronger. They'll almost be able to single shot you. Now, keep in mind, this is upgraded, fully upgraded, level 6. So we have a level 13 ship now. One of the things I noticed pretty quick in this game is the longer the season runs, as you progress toward the end, they begin buffing their ships, or debuffing your cannons and your armor and stuff. So, and they have admitted that they debuff us. They've not really said that they buff up the enemy any. They stopped doing that, but they just turned right around and started weakening our weapons, which is pretty typical of any type of a game. When you run into your season pass, it keeps things interesting. It makes things a little more challenging, so the game doesn't become mundane and boring. You have to go back to the drawing board to get your ships built tougher. And that's one of the things coming out of Season 1. There were some ships that we seen were perfect, and then some I seen needed a lot of work. The sandbuck was always my favorite use for the amount of damage it could put out, but one of the things I was always kind of down on about it is it does have a weak class hull compared to most of these other ships, meaning that it doesn't have as much HP at the base level, but it starts to add up pretty good as you upgrade this thing. So very cool on that. So as you run each wave in a defense, it's going to continue to progress, make a little bit larger ship fleets coming in, maybe a little bit harder to run as far as just the amount of enemies they send at you. But I've not really noticed where these things are hard. Now, when this game first started Season 2, we ran a defense before they nerfed these things, and it was insane the amount of ships that could come in. So a lot of fun when you were playing with teams, but they wanted to even it out for people who play solo, which that can be understood. I just wish that they had the multiplayer aspect where it would just automatically start to bring in those old settings if you have friends in your group. And that could be something we see later in the future, because it sounds like some of our PvP is going to be getting some tweaks here before too long, which I am looking forward to that. Some 5 versus 5 coming into the game. That'll be one of the first steps into getting to areas where you have your guilds and your major wars and stuff that you can do in a game. But yeah, my opinion, this game is well worth what it cost when it first came out. Now it sounds like it's discounted at a lot of places now, so I would definitely recommend picking it up, and definitely check your Play stores if you're on Xbox or PlayStation, because a lot of times they'll have a week long free demo that you can run, and you can check out the ships and stuff like that that's in the game, see some of the content that's in the game. Now granted, you'll have to build your own character and all that kind of stuff, but it'll get you a very good peek into what this game consists of. It is an MMORPG. Basically, your ship is your character, and you can change out your character class in the middle of the game. So that's one of the cool things about it. If you like your DPS characters, sandbucks for you. If you like tanks, then of course you're going to want to use snows and stuff like that. So off the back of the ship is what's called a fire bombard. It just massive damage. and just using those rockets as needed. Ooh, sharpshooter in the midst. Like I said, you got to watch out for those guys. They will hammer you pretty heavy. That's not the sharpshooter. He's back here somewhere. There he is. Not sure if we hit him or not. We've got a few hits on him. This is wave 4, so. Hit me again, didn't he? Alright, so we might have enough time for heals to refresh here. You want to take the sharpshooter out first because they do the most damage to you. Of course, it looks like we may have a privateer coming in to mix it up a little bit. Next wave's 8 seconds. They got 14 on the hill. So there are armor classes that you can use to help heal you, and that's one of those things that I have thought about putting on here, but I really do enjoy my Buccaneer's Wrath. Every ship you sink gives you a bonus of extra damage. Okay, so what else we got? Here comes the fleets. Okay, that little squat son of a gun down in the back, the far back, those are going to be the sharpshooters. And then a lot of times they'll send a fast runner out. That'll be a sharpshooter as well. So that's why I use that sandbuck, is you get those massive explosions that take out, you know, the whole fleet around, at least dealing out damage to them. Now there is a sharpshooter still sitting up here. Down. Okay. I'm also going to show you some ways to extend your stamina in this video today. Like I say, I was kind of hoping we could get one of these in. We may edit it, move it to the end, or we may leave it right here. So if you're watching it and you haven't got to the end of the video, it means I've decided to leave it there. But there's some areas that you can go to, lighting bonfires. It's going to give you extra stamina for 30 minutes. You and your entire team will receive the extra stamina, and it usually is about 30 minutes is how long it lasts. So this would look like wave 5 here. Lots of mortars. Gotta make sure you hit them, though. If you miss them, it don't do much good shooting at it. Alright, so defense successful. When you run a successful defense, you'll get a gold raider cache. Now, there's a few things that you can do with this box. We're going to open this one so you can see what's typically in them, but I'm going to start stacking these for Season 3, I do believe, because a lot of times you get Helm leases, and I've taken all of the leases that I care about having right now. So this in here gave us pieces of 8, White's Gold Gen, Juniper Berries, Enhanced Repair Kit, 2s, and some silver. But like I say, sometimes you can get those other things. It's nice to have those gold boxes, those raider boxes saved up for the next season, because we are basically self-sufficient on our pieces of 8. I don't have to run anything extra to get those. They run and collect themselves now. You build up your fleets and it picks up all your manufactories. We got some kind of strung out in random locations, but I picked these 2 up here by hand typically and come up and then deliver in too. So the reason I don't bother running these right now with an automatic system is you got to have a level 13 ship to be able to get there, and it's still a medium risk at that point unless you have it close to level 14. So there's some pros and some cons to it. So right there's my fast travel. So when you come to these fast travel areas, anytime you come up to one of these little docks here, you're going to be able to go and explore a little bit. So let's do that. Some of them will be almost maze-like. You'll have these warriors and different types of folks that you can talk to and buy stuff from. You're going to be able to find different items on here. So let's see if we can find something here. So it looks like everything's going to be toward the back of this island. Sometimes you'll find crates if they're not open. Most of the time you can't do anything with it. But you're going to end up finding where you have your cache. You can come in here. You can access that. You can access that right here as well, just holding your ship travel menu button there. It's going to open that up as well. But you're going to be able to find water buckets where you come up and you can get a couple water flasks out of them. Anywhere between 1 and 2, usually depending on how many people you have in a group. You may end up with more. So we'll draw water there. That gives us a water flask. So that's where you get water flasks for free. And every single one of these outposts that you're going to have a fast travel spot at, you can get water from for free. So that's how I get my flasks. I mean, sometimes I buy them. But you have an area where you can cook your food. So if you've got certain types of food in your inventory, most of it we keep cooked. But it's going to increase the amount of stamina that they bring up. Then you're going to be able to get recipes and stuff like that to make these other types of dishes that's going to give extra bracing stamina and trim crew stamina and things like that. So a lot of really good stuff on that as well. You can come up, you can find, typically you're going to find at least some cannonballs. So right there would be some cannonballs, so pick up a few. They don't usually give you more than 5 or 10, but you do get a few. Areas like this where you see drawings, try to remember where they're at on the island, because you're going to get little treasure maps, and if there's a treasure map that leads to this location on the island, you know right where it's at. So always keep an eye out for that. Most of your treasure maps are going to be up near something kind of out of the way, but there will be a drawing kind of showing you where it's at, or at least close by to it. So this is one of the least impressive islands here. Let's go to one that I usually use when we're out farming our convoys. When you're running with a team and you're doing convoys, I do recommend that you run this because, like I say, for 30 minutes you're going to get that boost to your stamina. So it means you're using less stuff while you're bracing against convoys. It just helps you with your resources as well. So you're looking for these big pillars that'll be on fire, and they usually look like I don't know, kind of an upside down triangle. And when you come up to it, you see it's got red flames. But when you come up, it's going to let you interact, throw powder. When you throw that powder, I'm guessing it's some kind of sulfur, they turn green. And you get that stamina boost for the next 30 minutes. Stamina regenerates. Regeneration will be boosted for you and anyone in your team. So you want to make sure that you hit those every half hour if you're fighting with the team as well. So there's going to be some great things. You're going to find different types of folks. Usually they sell a lot of the same stuff, but you'll have like rogue traders. You may end up with a Helm liaison there, Helm trader or something. A lot of different folks on the different islands that are out here, but almost all islands will at some point have you looking for a treasure map if you spend time looking for treasure maps. I recommend that you do, even if you're advanced into the game, but especially as a new player, because even though most of the stuff I get I've already got, don't really need. I can remember a time where it was really nice to be able to get those things because you just didn't have the resources. You're coming into the game, you're flat broke with nothing. So that's usually, you have to build up to it. So, but we showed you St. Anne. We're going to come up here. There's an area up in the northeast if you're unfamiliar with it. It is called Talak Panjara. This is where you're going to get your large boat blueprints and stuff like that. You spend a little bit of time up here, but I'll be honest, most of the time is spent down around St. Anne in Africa. There's a few things up here that you run, but to me, the missions, they paid well as far as the XP that you would receive, or SP as it's called, or the kingpin points that they give you. But man, it seemed like it was just too short to me. You spend all the time up St. Anne, and when you come up here, you're pretty much done in a day. So But then again, that's probably because I would play the game 3 or 4 days in a row, so I can't really go by that. But we should be seeing more storylines and stuff in the future from what they're saying. They're working on trying to add some more stories to keep the content fresh. So that's going to be cool to see what they come up with. So when you come across that little plank there, you're going to have a commodities trader. I thought was right there, but apparently they're disappeared. That happens sometimes. It's like the same thing happened here. So, but you're going to be coming to these areas and you'll talk to these folks. You have your warehouses, your mailboxes, and stuff. And by the way, that happens sometimes as you get close to the end of the week and you get close to a maintenance like we have coming up Monday night. I've noticed that as we get close to those times, we end up with situations where the game kind of gets kind of buggy sometimes. So I'm not sure what causes that. This here, I do believe, is going to be a future expansion point. It'll probably have something to do with the Endgame guilds or something like that. Or, you know, or something is coming to that at some point, I'm sure. When you're walking around the island, you're going to be watching for people just kind of hanging out. If you've seen a little purple bubble with dots in it, they usually talk about something. It'll be a treasure that you could pick up, or it could be, you know, area where you're going to find cosmetics to start investigations and stuff like that. So definitely pay attention to those folks. Yeah, so definitely running into a glitch issue here. Let's go to let's go back to St. Anne, see if it'll clear that up. Typically when that starts, it's not too long and you end up bouncing out. Okay, so back at St. Anne again. Okay, it looks like everybody's spawning in now, so it was just a little flick, you know, it happens sometimes. So you have what's called a hawker. No, it's not because she's coughing and spitting. That's where you will come and you will sell and you will buy and all that different type of stuff up here. And you can get different types of, you know, recipes. You can get your cannonballs. What I recommend doing so you don't overfill your cargo, you want to cycle inventory. If you're on Xbox, it's pressing the Y button. Once you cycle that, then you can come in and you can buy all the cannonballs and all that stuff, and it doesn't put it on your ship. It ends up putting it in the warehouse. So you're not over encumbering yourself doing purchases. And that works over at the black market as well. If you're you know, trying to buy from them and it keeps saying you're out of ship space, cycle that inventory real quick. Be a triangle if you're on PlayStation. I'm not sure what it is on computer. I've heard F for function or something like that maybe. So depending on how you've got your stuff set up. And same thing with repair kits and all. Now all this stuff I used to build, but because, you know, we're further up in the game now, what I do is I just come in. I've got certain things to buy because if I end up with extra stuff, I can pass stuff around if I need to our Discord group. Great group of folks, by the way. Okay, so there is your carpenter, of course your shipbuilder or shipwright. Then you have your blacksmith, your refining area. There's another cookery. There was one right when you come off the walkway off the dock. Where I'm headed now, this is a little bar called the Le Pont Muet, but it's also where your smuggler's market and smuggler's hideout and all that's located. So you need an aura. Once you hit close to that kingpin rank, it's going to start sending you down here. Now you have to be kingpin to interact with a lot of stuff in this point. If you haven't hit kingpin, it means you need to go pick up some missions from Rima again over there in Talak Panjara and just run our missions till you hit kingpin rank. Then you can come down here and have full access. That's the easiest way I know to tell you. We get a lot of questions like, I'm down there, I've got the thing, but I can't do anything in it. And they've completed the game, which opened it, but they didn't spend the time grinding the points. And one of the things that you'll notice, if you don't spend time building your character, ranking it up, the game can get really hard really quick. So if the game's getting really hard, it means you need to see what your rank is, see what your next ship grade is, whether you're upgrading the ship or if you're going to a larger class of ship. You're definitely going to want to do that. It's going to make the game a little easier for you. Better weapons, better armor, you know, you're opening stuff up. As you rank up, you can get new materials and stuff. But the black market works off of a sovereigns and a pieces of 8 collection system, within the game. So of course we have like legacy cash boxes. I've heard rumors that you could get the Coronado, so it looks like Coronades are in here. Really, that's about the only thing that I see that I would really want in it is the Coronade. If that's the ones from season one, the flooding cannons, they're pretty awesome. So uh, I've heard rumors that people have gotten darts out of it, but it's a very small chance of it dropping. I've not seen it personally yet, so. But you have different types of materials. These would be for your advanced materials, guys. It's going to be like Worm's Breath, the Orcus Mechanism, Gannet Saltpeter, this Eel's Twine. That's to build certain types of in-game weapon. They were calling them meta weapons for some reason. I don't know why, but that's what they was calling them. You know, I've seen a lot of explanation as to why it's called that, but I'm just trying to figure out who come up with the term because it's not a term that I'm familiar with as Gen X. Now, I've been out of gaming with some stuff for a while as far as like playing with teams and stuff, so you kind of lose track of some of the lingo as it evolves, I guess. But a lot of different types of weapons. Typically the weapons that you buy here, they're going to be of the lower quality. What you want to get is the blueprints when we get down that far, because these will be the the highest option, and then you can build as many as you want as long as you have the materials. So what I'm hoping to see is like Buccaneer's Oath. I'd love to see that one come in Stormwoven Symphony in blueprint form. It's not there yet, but it is something that we can purchase. I've gotten a couple of each of those, and then of course we have Gamma Cobra armor and stuff like that. These are, unfortunately, right now sovereigns is what they cost. Now I would recommend that you get you a few of them this season. The reason I say that is you can always strip armor off of an old ship. What you can't do is get armor that's no longer available in game. A lot of people asked about the Black Prince. I've not seen it drop in season 2 at all. I've heard rumors that it's dropped, but I've not seen it drop. Now I hear people say that they ran a hostile, or not a hostile takeover, a cutthroat cargo, and ended up getting it in the box over there. Well, that's great if that's happened. But even in season 1, I never got anything running cutthroat cargo. Nothing good like Black Prince or Dards or anything like that. It was usually, Royal Custodian armor and garbage that I already had, or had the capabilities of building. So you have a chance of it dropping. It's just a low chance of it dropping. So this is the distillery. This is where we make our products. We have different products we can make. The base product being White Skull Gin and White Skull Rum. And then you can upgrade that with a fine distillery at the end, which is going to give you Gold Skull Gin, Gold Skull Rum. Now these are different things. These can be converted into silver currency, which is what most of us were doing in season 1, building our silver up by just farming up the materials to keep the stuff running and selling that Gold Skull. But it can also be used as a purchasing tool to get ship upgrade parts and different types of weapons and stuff that. Really, in my opinion, you're better off selling that stuff for silver, just because the Skurlock Long Nines, they're okay, but unless you're in some pretty big wars and stuff like that, they're kind of a moot point. They're nice if you got someone chasing you, you just keep taking your sails out. So I say, when I use a sandbuck, if you got someone that wants to run, hey man, if you want to fight, come in close. Otherwise, get on up the way. I'm not going to chase you to sandbuck, but what I would do is jump into my bark and go and hammer them with a battle bark, because you are repairing yourself as you battle. So it's pretty cool stuff that you can build on those. We'll show you those ships in here too. But yeah, so this is going to be your next thing. So I think we're going to do the juniper berries this time. And I tried to keep this running every day as I log in. You may be wondering, well, where do I get those types of materials? Well, you have a couple boards in here. So one of them is a supply network. When you come in here, you put in your order. Now, when you are like me in a game, I like to come in and I like to get anything and everything I can, and I don't want to pay any silver for it. I want to build my silver up for what I need it for, but I want to keep that stuff running so I can get more silver. So what we're going to do, we're going to hold to activate that contract. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to show you which one do we want to show. So this is the whole fleet that I've got built up. We've got everything from small ships to the medium-sized ships to partially upgraded ships to fully upgraded ships at this point. So this barge T, this is just transfer ship I have picking stuff up. Now then I have the Aegeon, that is a battle bark. Let's bring that up for you to check out. And you can move all your cargo to the new ship. If you move to a smaller ship, you may have to put a lot of that in the warehouse. But so this is a battle bark. It has a rank of 13, upgrade level 6 of 6. It's classified as a support ship specialized in aiding friendly ships. It has a perk called Revitalize, restores 0.5% of severe damage to 0.5% of whole health per second, as far as for nearby or as well as nearby friendly ships. It means you're healing yourself and you're healing them. Restores 15% of stamina, 10% of severe damage, and 60% more of whole health on a friendly ship while using a repair weapon. So if you're using a repair class, for those of you who play RPG games, this is the ship that you would want to use. Now you can use this ship also as a battle bark, which is what I have. It has extended heals. It offers some small heals to your friends in the area, but you can really start to get some wallop out of this thing. So you have something called Mend, increases the repair amount of repair weapons by 40% for ships with less than 33% health, so that's pretty nice if you're healing your friends. Deep Blue improves turning speed while traversing the seas. If you're into open seas, you're hitting those waves and all that kind of stuff, you have that Deep Blue perk help you maneuver in there. So the whole health on this ship right now, I need to repair it. I don't think I repaired it before I threw it back in here, but it's a 60,000, I believe. Let's get that repaired real quick, guys. No, I guess it is repaired. Okay, well, let's bring it back up. $47,380 is the base whole health. Brace strength 9476, speed 12 knots, trimming speed 17, cargo 80,000, stamina 105. So pretty nice, pretty tanky. But there is another ship in here, and I'm going to show you that, and we're going to go pick up that cargo, those things that I just picked up for our delivery order with this ship. So this is the, I am calling Leviathan project. It is still a work in progress, and I'm going to have to switch some stuff out before we take it to sea, but it has a 60,000 whole health on it at level 6 when you get the base rank up to a 6, upgrading that ship. Brace strength 30,000, 11 knot speed, and the trim speed is 14 knots. Cargo 85,000, stamina 105. So I am actually fixing to change out a few of these weapons here on this thing. I was practicing around with some PvP stuff, playing around today, and it was effective for that. We'll just go ahead and leave it on here, heck. So I'm going to fast travel. Now, fast travel is not something you're going to want to do a lot of when you're first starting into the game, because it can cost anywhere between 6 to 1,200 to fast travel with silver. But as you see, I'm not hurting for any silver up there, so not a big deal on that. Now, the proper way to do this is to come up with the silver to buy the product so you can make those gold products. Now, if you're like me and you want to make as much money as possible and you don't want to have anything invested in it at all and make every currency count, here's what you do. You're going to set sail. It doesn't matter if you have the silver to cover the expense or not, because you're going to sink this liaison that's going to sell the stuff to you. Now, the thing that happens when you do this is you get what's called marked for death, which means you may end up in a situation where you have the Helm chasing you around, shooting at you. That's actually a good thing. Couple shots, well-placed shots on those things, they go down quick. Plus, you're getting free Helm materials for them as they sink. So that's just going to help you be able to build up the gold skull product to get your silver up. I don't know how many people I've had go, well, how is it you're able to fund all your warehouses and stuff like that? And it's been that way since we first started doing this game. It's because this is the way I do it. I don't spend silver on anything unless I absolutely have to, and it's something I really want. I take what I want. I mean, you're a pirate, man. That's what the game is. So this is Helm Liaison. So we're going to get all of his materials plus any extras he's been carrying. We're going to drop a LaFleur on him. I think is what I've got set up on this. And of course, the fire bombard. I think we're going to follow that in with some long guns. These are Le Piqueres. This is a Scarlock weapon. So we completed all of the contracts. We got everything he carried out. We didn't spend one piece of anything and got 150 extra silver out of blowing him up. So now what you do is you come back down to the area and you want to drop this stuff off in your warehouse. But we're going to go back to the Helm office where our black market office is. We're going to go back in there and I'm going to show you how to then take this gold skull that you're building and get free pieces of 8 out of it without having to sell it for pieces of 8. That way you can sell it to Rema and Skurlock and make you a big wad of cash. You may be wondering, well, how am I going to get pieces of 8? Because we're going to agree to sell the same people we just blew up. We're going to call them up and say, listen, I've got an order of Skull product I want to sell. They're going to send out the ship that's got the pieces of 8 to cover it, and we're just going to sink them and take his 8s because, hey, we're pirates and that's what we do. And that really ups that mark for death. You will be trolling around for an hour and have those ships coming after you. But like I say, not a very big deal. Okay, so you can do this a couple ways. You can come in and manage cargo right here on the spot. And we're going to come in and move all that extra stuff we just picked up. Except for treasure maps, you can't put those in the warehouse. We transfer that over. Me personally, I don't bother with the blue ones only because there's nothing in it that I'm going to need, so I usually destroy them. Starting off in the game, you're going to want to keep them. Then, of course, your very old, the purple series maps, you want to keep those. Definitely go check, see where that's at. It's going to be your better drops on those, if you get any good drops. So what we're going to do now is we're going to fast travel here to St. Anne real quick. Means you got to see that snow in use. I'm going to load the battle bark up next and let you check it out, just so you can see the different types of classes of ship. And we may show that brig. I'm still not sure. That ship it's okay. It's one of those things where I want to like it for some of the attributes. It's got great speed on it. But one of the things that I don't like about it is it doesn't boost any of your actual your weapon strength, unless you use the spring loader. And to me, the spring loader, it's being overpraised by folks, the Infernal Maul and all that. Everyone's like, oh, it's the next big weapon item and all. It does all right, but there's a lot better options out there, so that's still running. I don't have to add anything to that. But you're going to come to this other desk here. It is called the Order Registry. When you come into the Order Registry, you want to come in here. And again, remember, we're pirates. We have to think outside the box. They have a base game set up, but you can play it any way you want. There's no wrong way to play it. So we're going to accept that. That pays $245. This in here pays $238. Go ahead and track that. I think that's the only roving missions they got. Yep, 2. Now, you're not going to be able to fast travel to that location. You're going to have to sail there. Don't bother putting any skull product on your ship at all. There's no need for it. Absolutely no need for it. So we're going to change our ship. The reason I'm changing ship is the bark. For me, out of all the ships, if you have long voyages to run and you want to, kind of play around on the way there, remember we've got a wanted mark from the Helm, so we're going to be facing some Helm ships coming out. Let's make sure that this is still set up. I don't think I've stripped anything off it. Running bombards, dimmies. Yep, everything looks good. Okay. We're going to be running into Helm ships, though. So this is another great way to farm. You're getting those materials. When you sink them, grab the stuff that they drop. Convert it to skull product, then refine it to the highest quality. Now, it takes 2 for 1. Unless you've started upgrading your books and stuff, it's 2 of those per 1. You can get extra drops of them sometimes if you upgrade your books. But we're going to be selling down here, where this little octopus emblem is. And it doesn't take that long to get there. This ship has the least amount of wind effect against it. When the wind comes straight in on it, it's the fastest ship on the sea still. I don't care how fast the brigantine is. I don't care how fast the brig is. When the wind turns, and it's going to turn and it hits you coming straight at it, the bark is going to catch you, and depending on what weapons we've got equipped for it, is going to hammer you down, man. So what I've went with here is a medium range on the front. So this small ship on the left, this little peewee looking dude, we want to take him out ASAP, because that is those sharpshooters I was telling you about. That's a sharpshooter class vessel. They're hard to hit, and they're just a pain in the rump to deal with on the sea sometimes. I think he's down. Just making sure. You gotta make sure that you don't hit waves when you're firing. Of course, right when you fire, it's always you're going to hit a wave. Now you have what they call a brace ability, where if you're going to ram a ship, you brace and you don't take damage when you're bracing against them. I don't know where that little campaigning vessel come from, but we'll oblige them to. So we got 16 juniper berries from him, and there should be a little bit of stuff from that other ship up here. I'm not going to spend too much time looking for it. Usually I collect as I sink, but I'll be honest, I was a little sloppy on that run. Alright. So there's a couple more of those ships there. There we go. It's tobacco. Well, it didn't collect. That's one of the things about the collection system. If you use the collection system on black flag, guys, understand it takes a few more hits sometimes. It'll be caught in this little, almost a no man's land zone, and if you don't hit it just fast enough, you have to sit there and just sail around and pump your collect button sometimes. It's something that we've been mentioning with Ubisoft every patch, and then they'll come in. We've made it a little easier, and it'll fix it for a little bit. Then the next update will come out, and it's like we went back to the base. So they're supposed to be looking into those codes that are causing that issue with the future updates, and they are saying they hope to have that kind of lined out by the mid-season pass, which is, I think, about 2 or 3 weeks out still, something like that. Now, if you remember Season 1, that's when we rolled out the PvP, so I'm not going to be surprised to see if we see that 5 versus 5 or some sort of an addition to our PvP system of some sort. So these are campaign ships here. When you're selling, if you're new to the game, unless you have a mission that has you naturally aggroed, meaning they're going to attack you, you want to make sure that you can take and avoid shooting them unless you intend to sink them. Because if you just come around here and start shooting at ships and you're sailing around, eventually you're going to find yourself covered up with enemies. Now, I'm going kind of fast. Typically, I don't go this fast, and typically I watch for stuff like this over here, which is where your helm ships are to go and get those helm materials. I'm just trying to push through to the end over here. Like I said, we've got plenty of materials to keep working with today, but we're going to want to take and blow up this liaison over here. So I usually come straight down across the south section of that pass there, mainly because that's typically where you see stuff spawn. I could have cut it wider and caught them ships. They may chase me down yet, but typically they'll despawn and then respawn ahead of you if you're going too fast. So if you notice that meter at the bottom center of my screen, that green one that keeps going down, it turns red and turns green, that is your stamina meter. So what you have to do is feed your crew food. Now, right now I'm just using cooked bananas, which is 40%, but they have better stuff. The Talarosaurus steaks, which are coming from the large dinosaur that you kill up after you pick up the contract here in Lenitra. You will come up here to kill it. And then, of course, they have the Megalodon shark, the Kingpin Megalodon's active this week and next week. Then they'll be eventually bringing Zamaharabu back, which is a very large Talarosaur. If that tells you what it is, it looks similar to a giant, not really a crocodile or an alligator, almost a mosasaur is what it almost looks like, except it don't have fins. I think it has claws, but no, it does have fins, don't it? Yeah, so it might be some kind of mosasaur type dinosaur. So if you see the diamond rank pop up there and it starts to show like little gold numbers, that's because I have automatic ship harvesting enabled on my factories. I did not bother capturing every zone last season, and I had way more 8s than I needed, which helped me out coming into this season. And then we weren't able to bring all of our pieces of 8 in that we were hoping to, because they only let us bring 300,000, and we had, well on our way to 4 million. So we ended up having to spend a lot of that, unfortunately. So we're going to swing over just to shoot this ship here, because they are kind of on the way now. Gotta be mindful of the boundary, though. Always position yourself where you're going to get the next shot and be lined up to make the next one if you have to. Don't sail straight between them. You'll just get nailed on each side. Guys, it looks like we managed to get that stuff. We'll do shooting torpedoes. So we were able to make that next shot. You want to fight off all sides of your ship, not just the front, not just the sides, not just the back. Hit it with everything you got. If you're waiting in a turn, that's when your auxiliary weapons are great, especially that rocket. Okay, and back en route. I always mark my position on the map. That way, if I'm coming up here, I have to fight something, no problem, fight it. Put my compass right back to my location and just keep hauling. Now what you'll notice is as you get closer to the location, you'll start noticing more and more spawns coming in. And you can really rack up some currency. So that's one thing is the more of that gold skull you make, the more you sell for silver, the more silver you have coming into the coming into your kingpin. And that's where your currencies are made. Because you got to keep the silver to keep the pieces of 8, and you have to earn those pieces of 8 to earn the sovereigns, which is the only end game type currency that you can bring over into the next season right now with the full amounts that you have. Look, we're about 4,800 meters in closing, so we should be there pretty soon. See position on the map. And just eating that stamina again. So down at the bottom left, you'll see like some little icons popping up, some blue icons, red icons, stuff like that. Those are notifications of special abilities that you have coming up. It may be a notification that you're spotted by an enemy. It may be, a perk that's kicking on for your shields or something like that, or your armor. So that's typically what those little pieces of information are. So we've hit stamina. Food again, it shows how long before the food has maximized what it's going to do. I'm not going to bother engaging. Let them battle it out. We want to get to the liaison. This is how you get those free 8s. Now, when I started in Season 2, and of course in Season 1, until you get your isle collected, I recommend doing Red Isle. Let's just grab everything in there. You can do East Indies. It sounds like it pays pretty good. To me, Africa's too big of an aggravation to deal with. It's too far from port. It requires everything to be level 12s and 13s. And you're better to be near one of the major hubs right now. So, but I did Red Isles. Mainly because I knew what it pays out. I've seen what it'll do. And everything works out pretty nicely there. And that's where most of the events take place in the season passes. This way I'm not up in the Indies messing around when everything's happening on the other side of the map. Now, Season 3, we'll probably end up doing more of the Indies. We'll have to wait and see what it's going to turn out to be. But a lot of those forts and stuff that come up over there, from my understanding, when you come in to do a defense, you don't actually get to shoot any ships. You're just sitting there waiting for the ship to show up, and they never show up, and it completes it. You win, which is fine, I guess. But I would rather be able to come in and fight those ships because it does give you that XP to earn kingpin ranks. Okay, let us see here. So there's our liaison. Yep. I think he's actually called a smuggler, overseas smuggler. Yeah, but he works for the Helm. So that is the guy we're going to come in and rob real quick. Now, these large ships with red sails, these are privateer vessels. Privateers will come after you regardless if you mess with them or not. So if you get too close, expect them to come. They're not hard to kill. No, harder than some maybe, but not impossible. They go down pretty quick. So we're going to pick that up. We picked up our pieces at 8, 245, 238. That gave us our 8, so we didn't have to waste any of our materials. Everything seems good on that end. And once you get your auxiliary weapon firing them rockets, you can keep aiming if you want to. Or you can let go and start aiming with your cannon. So I need to take out this little sharpshooter here. Little dude being a little pain. So as you can see, we've made the Helm less than thrilled with us right now, which means they're going to be trying to sink us. If we don't watch it, they will succeed. So I'm going to be using what is called a crescendo shield. It is the or crescendo effect. They weren't close enough. No big deal. Basically, when you brace up, it charges the shield up, then explodes and does damage to the ships, like it just did to him. Then, of course, we will make sure we're bracing still. We got something. So that's what happens when you ain't paying attention. But yeah, so they will cover you up. If you get sunk, not a big deal. Pick up your gear, come back, and you're good to go. So that's what we're going to do here. But you'll discover that in the game. You'll get sunk sometimes, man. It's going to happen. Don't let it deter you. Stuff happens. I wasn't bracing during the battle. You should take your time and brace rather than just shoot around. I'm used to using a sandbuck, which has a higher DPS value to it. So we got our gear. We collected everything that they just sunk out of our inventory. Take out these guys and finish them off real quick, though. You don't get to sink me and swim away. Alright, I think we got all of our little punks out. Save one. We got one guy left. Let's go over and see if we can mess him up real quick. And he should be coming straight in. Say them sharpshooters, the more they send, man, the tougher it can get. If you get 2 or 3 in the water, that'll take you out pretty quick if you don't get them out quick enough. So that's one of the things why I do go back into solo play quite a bit here lately is when you fight with the team, yeah, the ship's a little harder, but you have more people watching your back. But sometimes you like to come out and just play solo, so it keeps your skills brushed up. Maybe you'll see stuff they're not seeing. So then, of course, when you get into PvP, that's a whole new game there as well, you know, a whole new ball game. But hope this has kind of showed you a little bit about the game, taught you some things maybe you knew, maybe you didn't know. But this was kind of geared more toward people that are just coming into the game or questioning whether or not if I should bother buying it. Like I say, check Seed. They usually have a demo once a month, have the last few months. Check it out. If it's still running, you can play it for free. If it's not, it's definitely worth the cost. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. We've got a lot of hours into playing this game. Made a lot of new friends in the gaming community. We've built a pretty nice Discord. I really enjoy it. We've got some great folks over there helping lead that up and, you know, helping out new gamers as they come in. So if that's something you're looking for, then definitely make sure that you join us up. Ask for a link. We'll send you an invite out. The links expire, so make sure that you know, as soon as we get out to you, that you join in because those links do expire, unfortunately. So we will see everybody later. Have a wonderful day.